fact, and some people still think that people with people with
You can do it.
yeah, people with a darker skin complexion can basically they need a thicker needle to basically put in IVs or to draw blood, and that's not the
Yeah,
case.
yeah, because their
And some
skin is
people still
thicker.
think,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and some people still think like that, and that to me is not it's not an okay thing to do at all. Point
Right.
blank. Period.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. That is really disheartening, like to hear that person's experience, and that could have completely been prevented if somebody would have just said, "Hey, this person is here. There's obviously a need." Like,
Yeah.
but
Just taking the extra
Kimfa,
step to show care. Hello.
yes, Kimfa, thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I'm well. How are you guys?
We're doing
Good.
well. We are talking about navigating healthcare as a person of color. And we were just talking about the challenges that we face, either personally or professionally, in terms of access to quality care as a person of color. So, Mike just shared his experience professionally seeing somebody not receive that care. Did you have anything you wanted to chime in?
Working in the medical field, I've witnessed it personally.
Mm,
So I worked in a nursing home before, and I realized that if a patient doesn't have family visiting them, they get mistreated.
yeah,
But if they see that there's a constant like family member coming in, they make sure
accountability,
they
right?
are on their P's and Q's at all time. So whenever my people, like my family members and friends, go to the hospital, I am there because I don't want any type of like mistreatment. So
Right,
I always advise everybody just to make sure if your loved ones are in the hospital, make sure you check on them at all times and
right.
ask questions repeatedly.
So, as both of you, as medical professionals, have you experienced any biases or like stereotypes when caring or seeing other people care for patients? I know, Mike, you mentioned darker skin having thicker skin. Um, are there any other biases or stereotypes you've noticed about different races or ethnicities in the medical field?
Okay, okay.
Other than the from what I've experienced, other than the idea that people of color can need a thicker needle is the only thing I'm like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. No, but I will say that people's condition varies from person to person. Like, if you're a person that works with your hands and you're out in the field or you're out like in construction like that, those people have thicker skin. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you got to use a bigger needle for them, and you got to because I've had some
Right,
patients when they done bent the needle on me and everything. I'm like, but they want
right.
to, you know what I'm saying?
Calluses from work,
Yeah,
which
you
makes
know,
sense. Yeah.
in some cases it makes sense, right? Especially if they ain't got a good arm vein, and I go through their hands. That hand area is just like straight turtle shell. It's hard to get through, but you know what I mean. Um, I would say what I've also noticed, like Kimfa said, it's the lack of family presence. If you're a person of color, the lack of that presence, the lack of people coming in to visit you and check up on you, will be
Mm,
more. People are more laxed in your care. They're not as attentive. They're not. They're not as caring as they should be.
mm,
They're gonna let you sit in your own poop for a couple of hours before they decide to help
mm,
you out. They're
right.
going to basically probably not even give you a bath because they feel like they don't have time for it or they don't want to bother you. That's their excuse. But in actuality, a person can't move, a person can't speak for themselves. And you're going to let them go a whole day, 2 days, 3 weeks without even being taken a bath. Now, when I was working in the hospital, one of the people, my manager at the time, he was good about going over the notes and everybody's charting to see how many people were actually charting that they were giving people baths and how many people were, and she would call us out. She would call us out on it. It's like how is this person on X amount of days being here and not giving a bath but one time in a 7 day period? It's like, oh, that's not okay. And
Was
so
your manager a person of color?
no, no,
Okay. But
no.
she was still holding everybody accountable. That's good.
Yeah, she was holding everybody accountable for that. And the one thing I didn't like about it is that you would have people that feel like, oh, it's above their station to clean up a patient or to give a patient, like a tentative care in that manner, and that was never okay with me. I mean, and it's very important that we anybody that's in the medical field. I'm pretty sure everybody. I'm not the only one because I've only been doing it for not as long, but I've seen people who's done it for a very long time. And while some care and some do not, while some treat it as it's a go go, it's the adrenaline, it's an action seat in place, and other people are just very tentative and they care, and I mean, it becomes an issue when those things are not being addressed properly.
Like one thing I realized though, I don't know if you guys already discussed this, is that some people like in the healthcare field, seems like they think that African Americans, we can tolerate pain better than other people. So
Mm-hmm.
when we're complaining, say we're in pain, some people think, oh no, you guys can take it, and that's not accurate. That we're all human, so we should be treated as such. If we are complaining about our pain management, take care of it. So that
Right.
part is really annoying.
And in most cases, they often will see a person as a drug seeker, seeking pain medication for medicinal purposes. You know what I mean?
But that's part of the stigma of being
Non-medicinal
a
purposes.
person of
Right.
color. Like,
Yeah.
not only do you guys have a higher pain tolerance, but you guys are also more likely to be drug addicts. And so I don't want to potentially add to
Feed
your
into that.
habit,
Yeah.
right? But with what Kenfa brought up in terms of having a high pain tolerance, like I experienced that firsthand almost my entire military career, but more so when I was giving birth to my second son. I did it completely naturally. I didn't have any drugs, no epidural, no nothing. And I remember after I delivered him perfectly happy, healthy, the doctor came in literally as he was coming out, like he almost hit the floor. Um, and the doctor comes in and I delivered my son. Maybe about 5 minutes later, the doctor is digging around down there trying to pull out my placenta. And I'm like, can we wait? Like, can I have some time with my son? Can we just pause for a second? That thing will come out by itself naturally. Like, you don't have to go rooting around for it. And he was just like, no, I just want to hurry up and get this over and done with. And he's literally, I'm not on any pain medication whatsoever. And he is yanking at my placenta, trying to pull it out of my body. And my partner is next to me with this crazy look on his face because he has no clue what to do. And the nurse is next to him with this crazy look on her face. And the doula is behind them. Not one of them said anything. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. And the nurse was like, sir, she doesn't have any pain medication on board. And he's like, it's okay. We're almost done. I'm literally screaming. No one stopped him. No, nothing. I ended up having to go into surgery because he shredded up my placenta so much that they didn't know what was left in there. But I was just like, how can this happen to a human being? Like, you are fully aware that this body part that you're pulling on is attached to my body. You're fully aware that I don't have any medication. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, and this is acceptable to everybody that's in the room right now. Like, this is acceptable medical care. It was completely mind-blowing for me and traumatizing. But it was just like, and when it was all said and done, I didn't even get to see my son until the next day because I was in surgery and then recovering from surgery. And I was just like, this beautiful natural birthing experience turned into a nightmare because this white man thought that I had super pain tolerance despite me screaming at the top of my lungs. It was just like, what part of your brain as a human being would say this is okay? Like, that's the part for me that I just cannot, even to this day, wrap my mind around. Like, there were two other medical professionals in this room, and neither one of them, like, one of them did speak up and say, hey, reminder, she's not on, but neither one of them went to go get help or tried to stop. Nothing. Part of it is the power dynamic. He was a male doctor. They were both female nurse doula.
Yeah.
But you see the patient is in pain. Like, how do you not speak up?
And that is one of the like I said, like I was talking about earlier, that's one of those brainwashing behavior mentalities where even a person of color, we're gonna fall we're gonna follow suit behind that. We're gonna, it's like your superior, their title makes them more better than you, so therefore they know better, and so you can't call them out, you can't question them, you can't tell them what to do, and or at least suggest anything because you'll probably get reprimanded for it, and it's an ego trip, 100%. It's an ego trip, and but yet it's everyone operates unfortunately in a fear status or like seniority or whatever.
Right.
I'm sorry you went through that, but that's
That's a
unfortunately that is one of
ridiculous
those things
response.
where it needs to be better because I'm not gonna lie. I can't say right now if I would have said anything or even tried to
Right.
do anything. I may have talked about it later on. I may have expressed my concerns to my superior later on, and if
Right.
that was anything that was done about it, then maybe so. But it was, and even when you do those, even when you do those things, sometimes nothing even gets done.
Yeah.
Question. So did you report it afterwards? Did you
I
report the doctor?
didn't. I didn't. I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
know what options I had available. Like me and my partner didn't talk about it. Just like it.
It was so
I woke
rough.
up the next day, and part
Mm-hmm.
of it was not remembering what had happened because I had to go through surgery afterwards. So that the drugs and all that stuff. I was just focused on my child after that. And then by the time I did come back around to it and was like, oh, this thing is not normal. Maybe I
Mm-hmm.
should tell somebody. And they were like, oh, it's too late.
No, see,
I was like,
that's
oh,
one
That's
thing
yeah. That should
I
never
think
be too late.
we need to be educated upon is that you can fire your doctor or your nurse if they mistreat you in any way. You have a voice to
right.
say no. Get away from me, because like
Right.
we are so scared. We're not taught that we have rights, and I feel like that's very important.
That's it. No more.
Right. And that is a fantastic point because when in that moment, not once did it cross my mind to say, stop touching me, like get away from me, like I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. I would assume that somebody would understand that this is not a welcome activity, but not once did it cross my mind to say, stop, we're done here. Like I did
Mm.
not feel like I had the power in that situation to be able to do that.
I'm so sorry you went through that.
I don't know how to respond. Thank you. um, I'm not sure how you respond to things like that, but yes.
No,
But
I mean,
it's a learning experience, and hopefully other people won't have to go through that because of this conversation.
Yeah.